My name is Alexey Ivanovich Kronik. I am 20 years old. I lived in St. Petersburg, 18 Enthusiasts Avenue, apartment 34. Please, if you find this letter, and if the city of Nizhny Novgorod still exists, and there is still 4 Sovetskaya Street in it, forward this there. Mom, Dad, I love you. I am thinking about you now. I was wrong about many things, and I wanted to say that your February transfer arrived. I just bought an external hard drive and a video card with it. Forgive me. God, how stupid, how childish, how shameful. Actually, I studied. God, my hand is shaking. What idiocy. My fingers are used to the keyboard. I did pretty well, at least by the standards of the Polytechnic. The Faculty of Robotics was not considered the nerdiest place there. I made it to the middle of the 3rd year. I liked physics, damn you all. And how is it supposed to help me now? I would like to know. Krishka, Vasily Vasilyich Krishev. You are still a disgusting person. I am not going to ask your forgiveness for anything. Messed with our heads, making us solder and assemble the simplest devices. And half the class groaned at the stupidity of this assignment, the 21st damn century, and the other half laughed and cheered them on. When nuclear war hits, we will all sit in the metro, eat rats, then you will say, thank you. What fucking rats? What fucking metro? What fucking nuclear war? Unless someone at the button somehow realizes that it is time to blow some godforsaken cottage community near Petersburg to hell before this crap spreads further. God, give them the brains for that. My name is Alexey Ivanovich Kronik. I am 20 years old. I studied at the Faculty of Cybernetics and Robotics at the Polytechnic University. I do not have much time right now, but I will try to tell about what brought me to what I am now. What took the last 6 months of my life and the life of one of my friends in this hellhole called Petersburg. A couple of words about my acquaintance. I do not know. You still cannot call him a friend. He is my group mate, and no one in the whole year who knew him, except probably me now, including the teachers, could understand what the hell this guy was doing at the Polytechnic. He was not capable of anything from the whole set of subjects, even though he seemed to try to study. I mean, we slacked off, drank, worked out, cheated. We even printed cheat sheets because we were too lazy to write them. But we understood something in what we were supposedly studying. We were those technical boys the Soviet system bragged about, capable, like in the joke, of lazily flipping through a Chinese manual 5 minutes before the exam, asking again what we are taking, finishing a smoke, going in and passing, capable of throwing together a small projector on our knees out of a tube TV and an old hard drive, fixing anything from an electric kettle to a fried motherboard with a screwdriver, 2 slippers, and a couple of grams of substances. But this guy was a complete idiot. Everything slipped from his hands. Only the devil knows how he made it to the 3rd year. God. Why him of all people? Why did he not go to some damn philology department to his beloved books? Why did I, you idiot that I am, even start hanging out with him after the winter session? Why did I drag him to old technical book? My name is Alexey Ivanovich Kronik. I am 20 years old, and I got the nickname Krolik, thanks to Krishka, that old deaf stump, who misheard my last name in the 1st class, and decided to joke about it. It's stuck for good. Krolik, so be it. I got close with Max. He never got a nickname like I said, though everyone firmly associated him with those little yellow books from the Something for Dummies series. So I got close with Max during the last winter exam session. Right then I desperately needed a couple of study guides. Our theoretical mechanics professor had published them himself and was crazy about those books. Older students said that in the exam he failed people with idiotic questions like the color of the end papers and the placement of illustrations. And I was already not doing great with theoretical mechanics, so I needed those books badly. Might as well hang myself. The day before the exam, I was sitting on a bench near the first building, drowning in spit-soaked snow, and thinking who else among the lucky owners of the sacred textbooks I could go to. I had already called my friends. They were in the same mess, calculating in my head how much beer money I would have left for tonight in this situation. I did not have time to go to Old Technical Book today. Damn it to hell. And the library did not have what I needed, and had not for a long time. Someone had to have those books lying around if the library was out. At that moment, Max walked past me, carrying 2 huge bags stuffed with something cubic, and I could not resist saying, "You stealing transformers?" Just joking, of course. What transformers? How are you planning to get them out? Disguised as books? Max did not act like a normal person would, meaning he did not laugh and say, "Fuck of, Krolik." He stopped, put the load down on the dirty snow, and looked at me seriously. "These are books." The bags were cube-shaped. I swear. "Did you grab them for all courses in advance or what?" "No. Why? There are no textbooks here. This is just, I got them from Mayakovka. I just had to stop by here." "From where?" "From the Mayakovsky library." He turned and pointed somewhere toward the metro. "I am not from Petersburg. I think I said that already." So at first, I did not really get what he meant. Max is a local. Damn, that is some serious fiction reading right before theoretical mechanics. Max sort of wilted. "I studied it. I did. But it is no use." He waved his hand with that ancient gesture every student knows. "Whatever." I did not care much about this idiot, so I nodded like, "Yeah, theoretical mechanics really is a nightmare." Max picked up his bags and was about to move on when a thought hit me. Max tries to study, and quite possibly. Hey man. I honestly did not know his name then. "You got the super booklets by our scribbler?" "The theoretical mechanics guide?" "I do." I should have just failed that damn exam and gone to the army. "My name is Alexey Ivanovich Kronik. I am 20 years old. I studied in the 3rd year of the Polytechnic University." Max passed that session because I helped him. Well, I could not help it, because Max was a truly unusual person. He had absolutely no brain for the physical sciences. God, if he had just a little more brains and a little fewer idiotic ideals, I would not be sitting here now. But he passionately wanted to become a cybernetics and robotics specialist, or something like that. When I asked him why he came here, if he could not even draw a simple circuit, he got embarrassed and said, "Well, just felt like it." I told him he was an idiot, but he did not seem very offended. Max's apartment, he rented too, was all books. Chekhov and Pushkin were probably there as well. But mostly the shelves, tables and floor were filled, stacked and littered with all kinds of science fiction novels. The whole spectrum, from a brown collected works of Jules Verne, from somewhere around the 50s to modern bright paperbacks. In the toilet, I found Bradbury. In the fridge, next to the sausage, a frost-covered Harry Harrison. The floor and the mattress that served as a bed were a minefield of spaceships, unknown planets, treacherous totalitarian systems, robots, and mad scientists. You could not take a step without blowing up. And you still get more from the library. I would go crazy if I read all this, I admitted to him, not without admiration. On the very first day, I have nothing against good sci-fi in my free time, though I prefer someone like Pelevin, but not in such quantities. Come on, he answered seriously. They are great. Want me to lend you something? Later I actually borrowed Wells and got properly hooked on him, but I did not like the newer stuff. Too much noise and more crooked every time. True, I read in order and never finished the 8th volume back then. I will never get to read Wells again. I wonder what Wells' characters would do in my place now. Survive? Write a letter explaining themselves to descendants. Damn it. There was something very disarming about Max with his books and all the rest. He really did try to study, attended almost all lectures, wrote notes, but sometimes he would put down the pen, clutch his head in his hands and stare at the board. From the outside it looked like he was processing what was written there, but I knew that at moments like that the professor could calmly speak and write in Chinese. Max had reached the point in the lecture after which he no longer understood a word. At such moments, his face froze, looked concentrated, but when I sat next to him, I could see how unnatural he looked, as if he had pulled all his muscles into a mask. I could see the real Max sticking out under that mask, and in its gaps, the slits of eyes, mouth, nose, something trembled faintly, flickered, holding back either anger or despair. He kept away from my friends. It took him time to get used to talking to me. He often behaved like a hikie who had been kicked out of his favorite burrow. Only after a month did he stop flinching and withdrawing when we walked together and someone on campus called out to me or came up to us, to me, to chat, share a beer, news, just say hi. But I went over to his place more than once, to do assignments for both of us, to play StarCraft or some endless space shooters, to eat. He always had food, and he could make it edible, to talk about things, often about books. He knew the classics too, some of it by heart. Why did you not go to the philology department? I once asked him, trying not to make it sound like an insult. Our conversations did not usually go very smoothly anyway, but with me he could at least get out a phrase or two. The damn bespectacled guy really did look like a skinny intellectual always carrying a volume of poetry. Only instead of poetry he carried, say, Asimov. You know, he said. You said you would get tired of reading all this. Well, I am tired of reading too. Now I want to make something. At the philology department, I would just keep reading. You are still reading. You got what I meant, he replied, and changed the subject. I didn't get a damn thing back then, the fucking idiot. Otherwise, I might have been able to help him use his damn enthusiasm for more peaceful things. Or at least I would not have dragged him to old technical book. My name is Alexei Ivanovich Kronik. I am 20 years old. I was a student at the Polytechnic, and from time to time I like to drop by a little shop called Old Technical Book. It was a good place in a basement in the city center. Quiet, warm in winter and cool in summer. A smart guy as the seller. Always ready to help with any unthinkable crap you needed, and a hell of a lot of technical books. I saw with my own eyes the legendary handbook of the young electrical machine winder from '56 there. Physics, engineering, mechanics, chemistry, medicine of every kind, any year of publication, from the beginning of the century to the late 90s. There were even dictionaries and various specialized editions on literature, drawing, photography in a little corner for humanities people. As luck would have it, in that same corner, there were a couple of shelves with fiction, consisting mostly of course, of science fiction. What else would people have no use for at home when they bring technical waste paper here? I do not know how to explain what the hell I was doing there that day, especially with Max. We were not really friends, I told you. That day we were coming back from physical training. I had skipped it for a long time and was making up a bunch of bone-breaking stuff in that class. It was getting close to May. My bones and everything else in me did not like it much. I was never that into sports, to be honest. But even now I do not regret it much. What would I need it for now? To fight? Yeah. To run? Where would I run? Max was a complete weakling. He could pull himself up maybe 3 times, then he just hung there like a rag. The instructor, some written-off military moron, was furious. If someone talked to me like that every time, just because I could not do something, I would have already given him some harsh physical revenge. Max endured. That day the instructor, spraying spit, circled around the bar where Max clung to the handle. The instructor yelled. The group was not even paying attention anymore. Max hung. He hung on that damn bar for about 10 minutes. He could not do another pull-up. That was true. But no matter how much the instructor screamed at him to let go of the bar and crawl off to do disgraceful things, since he was good for nothing else, Max silently kept hanging. His face was a mask, only a different one. Not like at lectures. After class I came up to him and suggested we swing by old technical book. Of course Max unerringly sniffed out his science fiction and rushed straight to it, even though it was his first time there. I slowly walked along the physics shelves, because I did not need anything and I knew it. Then I thought I could buy one handbook. I had lost the library one back in winter. It was not urgent, but why not? I remember very clearly how I started looking for that handbook, crouched down, pulling out stacks from the lower shelf to reach the back row. I remember how Max came up to me and stood there silently, and I did not notice him at once. "Find anything?" I asked when I tried to shove back a pile of magazines and ran into familiar sneakers. I was used to that. Max was often silent, never started a conversation first, and never drew attention to himself. It seemed to me that if he ended up on a deserted volcanic island, he still would not wave at a rescue helicopter flying by. "Found something," he said after a pause. I turned without getting up and saw from below that Max was holding something unfolded in his hands, like a map. And the map was covered through and through with thin black lines. A diagram or what? I stood up. It looked like a diagram. Max did not let it go right away. You know, even sitting here, I can swear, it looked like ordinary junk. Some crap from Soviet magazines, like Young Technician or something. God, if it was from a children's magazine. I am afraid to even imagine what that magazine could have been called, and what kind of kids read it. Seems like the ground is starting to tremble. The light bulb is flickering. The letters are very uneven, and my hand is already tired. And this shotgun too. Good thing it is still cool for now. I need to write faster. So it was an A2 sheet, folded 100 million times to fit into an ordinary book. A thin yellow sheet, all smudged, with worn folds and frayed edges. It looked over 60 years old. The diagram was drawn very finely, the lines thinner than I was used to seeing even in ancient university manuals, and it was torn along a couple of folds. You know how chip bags used to have those little toys? Cardboard pictures cut in several places. Fold it one way, you get one image, another way, a different one. A tiny chip puzzle, I just thought maybe Max kept folding this diagram in different ways all the time, because it still could have been just a damn diagram from some damn Soviet magazine, and not even working. Just a diagram. Maybe Max had gone more insane than it seemed. That is all. And madmen are often geniuses. I do not know how that helps, but the thought that Max did all this himself almost comforts me. On the other hand, that is even worse. Well, it is something, I said. I do not even know why. The diagram looked like trash to me. Alex, he never called me Krolik. Not once. This is such a thing. Well, I answered carefully. It looks like an insert from a magazine. Where did you get it? There on the shelves. He pointed toward the humanities corner. In old technical book, there is always a mess, so I was not surprised. Customers drag books all over the store, and more than once I had run into some pharmacology textbook among radio engineering volumes. Was there a magazine with it? There was no magazine there. Max's voice was so impatient it surprised me. No, just look at it. Look at what? Max unfolded the diagram again, started pointing here and there, explaining its genius to me. You should have heard how he explained it. The fact that he did not know a damn term, and got half of them wrong, and called the other half things like that flat crap that regulates the current. It's already turned his speech into an equation with 5 unknowns. But what he was actually explaining. Imagine you have just read War and Peace, a microwave manual and a home shopping catalog in a row. And now you are trying to explain the nature of black holes based on all that, using Superman comics as visual aids. Max, I said as gently as I could, we are scaring people. I was not lying. The older guys who had been hanging around the physics shelves 5 minutes ago were giving us annihilating looks from a decent distance. And do you think that stopped him? I would bet he did not even hear me. Later, he just did not listen. But then he did not hear. I said it quietly. I planned to keep coming to that store and did not want to get a reputation as some humanities ignoramus because of Max. Shame to admit. But somehow I ended up shrugging and smiling. Not at Max, but at those smart assholes around. And Max kept explaining at full volume. Not even a fact he was talking to me, by the way. Maybe to himself. I had never thought you could explain something like that. Even our ancient professors, who had devoted their whole lives to what we now casually ignore, never looked as fanatical as Max did then, in that store. I grabbed him by the sleeve and pulled him toward the exit, but he dug in, dirty sneakers like they had grown into the concrete floor. How much for this? Trying to keep my dignity, I pointed the seller at the diagram. He smirked and said something like, "Just take it. Let's get out," I hissed, dragging him up the stairs leading from the half-basement of old technical book into the daylight. He stumbled on every step, not letting go of the diagram, still talking. Have you completely lost your mind or what? Do you not understand? He stopped on the last step, like he had been nailed there, blocking the whole damn staircase. Some fat guy going up pushed him out about 2 minutes later. Thank him for that. Max did not shut up the whole way to the metro. I was confused. Usually you could not get that many words out of him. And even in short phrases, he always paused, watching the other person, listening or not. Should he keep talking or not? Here he did not care, like something had hit him in the head. At that moment, I did not think Max had gone insane. He had always been not very ordinary, and I did not know him that well anyway. Maybe he did not go insane in the usual sense of the word. Maybe what we do reflects back on us. MMO nerds turn into pimply hunched idiots. They eat chips and sit in one place all day, brains all spent. Punks are dirty. Why would they wash? Wrong ideology, wrong lifestyle. Keep a bunch of animals in your apartment. The place will stink, and so will you. Homeless people do not become punks because they do not wash. Pimply guys put stuff on their skin or just walk around like that. But they do not start playing MMOs because of their pimples. When Max walked to the metro holding the diagram, he was still normal. Well, as normal as someone like Max could be. I am afraid he was driven insane later. Driven insane by it. I'm afraid that if I had found that diagram and taken up that crazy idea, the same would have happened to me, and I would be. Who knows where I would be now, and what would be happening to me. Poor Max. At least I am still alive, and still the same. 5 fingers on each hand. I write with letters, think with thoughts. The shotgun barrel is cold. I can feel it. The ground seems to have stopped shaking. What a damn relief that there cannot be windows in this basement. We had one more stop to ride together before our transfer. On the escalator and in the train, Max kept explaining the diagram to me, shouting over the metro noise. I even understood something. Not what he wanted to explain, obviously, but what he was starting from. When you explain something, you compare it to something, right? Or you describe it through examples of things familiar to the listener. Color, shape, formulas. Max was explaining something he did not know himself, as stupid as that sounds. Explaining it through examples of things he had no idea about. And I had no idea about them either. And it was not just that he did not know the terms. He seemed to circle around that diagram. He kind of kept naming parts and immediately jumping away from the whole, then denying the parts he had just named, for the sake of some whole he could not label at all. At least it slipped away from me. There was more excitement in his speech than meaning, more filler words and book titles than terms, even wrong ones. The diagram kept bending in the draft. The pieces cut along the folds fluttered like little flags on cars, and Max held them down with his finger. Okay, it is genius. But what is it for, damn you? I lost patience as we approached SRO. I am telling you, I do not know yet, he shouted back over the metro. You just have to build it. Ah, screw you, I answered in my usual loud voice, and the train was already slowing down, so probably 5 cars heard me. I gotta go anyway, man, I continued more quietly. Try not to go crazy with that junk. I quickly shook his hand, which barely let go of the edge of the precious sheet, and got off. When I came to classes next time, 2 weeks later, so what? Max was not there. I do not know why, but I felt weirdly scared to ask about him. The professor was saying he would give an automatic pass to anyone who brought this and that, not that much, by the way, and we were writing it all down. I took out my phone and sent Max a text, something like, "You did not drop dead there, did you?" And then another, "Palich is giving out free passes here." The reply came only at the end of the class. It said, "I am a bit busy, will not come to the university for a few days." That "not" stuck out like it had been inserted at the last moment, like he wanted either to reassure me or to lie. and then suddenly changed his mind. I typed some crap like hanging out with booze and girls and did not invite anyone, added a smiley like I was joking, but there was no reply. I called. He did not pick up. After classes, I went to his place, slipping past a cluster of cursing men by the entrance. Looked like some thieves had stripped one of their cars for parts or something. Max did not open the door right away, and not really open it, just peeked through the crack. "Damn," I said. He looked like he had not slept for a week. "Hi." Max pronounced the words awkwardly, like he was out of practice. "Why did you come? Why are you not at the institute?" I blurted the first thing that came to mind. "I told you, busy." He stepped out and pulled the door shut behind him, not letting me into the apartment. He looked completely wild, but I still managed to see that. Inside, everything was torn apart or something. It had never been tidy. Whose place is tidy? But there were actual heaps, and not of books. Some boards or something. I came to return Wells. "And can I get the next volume?" I was bluffing like a mafia guy in poker. I did not need more Wells before test week, thanks. I had probability theory to pass, and I was not even planning to finish this one yet. But Max seemed to believe me, and for a second, he sort of brightened. His look became meaningful, like he came back from some unknown spheres into the human plane. "You can like it?" Why else would I take volume 9? I dropped the tube from my shoulder, took off my bag, pulled out the bluish book. "1 second," he said, as usual, turned to the door, and then it was like someone yanked him by a string. He seemed to run into something, got confused, said in a strange voice, "Hey, Kralik, I will bring it. You wait." "My name is Alex," I said. I got scared. I do not know why. Max was a damn hickey. Who knows what could pop into his head for no reason. But here, I got scared. Maybe too much was happening at once. Or maybe my wind-trained ass was warning its owner again. Intuition, that is what it is called. "Hey, wait." I grabbed his shoulder. "Stop, I am telling you. What happened?" "Nothing," he jerked, trying to shake off my hand. "Everything is fine." "Nothing is fine, man. You look like shit, sorry. And your apartment looks even worse." He turned sharply and leaned against the door. The look in his eyes was just awful. I even stepped back, raised my hands, palms forward. Okay, easy, Max. I should have just left right then, honestly, but I could not. Damn it. Something was clearly wrong with the guy. By then, I already thought he was starting to lose his last marbles. "Max," I said carefully, trying to find solid ground. How is your diagram?" And he suddenly came alive from those two words, just not like with Wells. It was like he got injected with speed, and not just speed, but some mixed synthetic unknown crap. "Everything is great. I am building it. Full speed." Building what? And then he deflated, like air had been let out. "Still do not know, did not figure it out. But it is great. Wait a second." And he opened the door, dived into the apartment. It seemed to me something big fell with a metal clang on the way. I stepped toward the door, but did not manage to open it. Max was already back, holding his miserable diagram. In the 2 weeks I had not seen it, it had become even more worn. Max spread it right on the concrete floor of the stairwell, squatted next to it, and I had to do the same.
Here, look, I already assembled. Already this part, and this too.
He ran it dirty. Only now I noticed. Fingers smeared with some grease over the yellow paper, showing me a narrow path and the black lines, sometimes bending parts of the diagram to trace it further, sometimes jumping across them. Max, what is this? I heard my own voice shaking.
A diagram?
He gave me a confused look, and I saw how badly he had not been sleeping lately. Almost grey skin, bags under his eyes, his cheek twitching. Max, buddy, I put my hand on his shoulder. You will not pass the session like this.
I have already built a lot. In pieces though, I am terribly short on materials, but I am somehow managing, for now.
I remembered the guys near the entrance. Max, you should drop this, please. It is not worth it. Do not. He looked at me with anger.
Do you understand? Do you understand that I have been waiting for this my whole life?
You do not even know what it will be.
I know that it has to be assembled. That is enough for me.
Max, just look at it. I jabbed a finger at the diagram but did not touch the paper. I was afraid, damn it. Afraid. It is wrong. Everything in the world is mixed up here. Even you would draw it better. It will never work. It is a toy. It is for Soviet kids. Max jumped up, snatching the diagram. I took 2 steps back and hit the elevator doors with my spine. Can't you at least get out of here? You're too exposed, I said, my voice thick with desperation. Come on, please, let me help. Max stood at full height, holding the unfolded old sheet in his hands. And I had never seen hatred like on his face, not even in movies. From behind the door, something thin and artificial started beeping, like someone was digging in the guts of a synthesizer. Fuck off, Krolik. He slammed the door. And I, not waiting for the elevator, turned and ran down the stairs, every second feeling it with my back, drenched in cold sweat. I shot out of the entrance like a bullet. Only outside, after running far enough that my side hurt, did I remember that I had left my tube with drawings by Max's door. Of course I did not go back for it. 2 weeks later, I asked him by text if he would come to the exam session or not. He replied, no, without a period, with a small letter. I somehow passed the exams. In mid-July, I forced myself and went to him again, but I could not bring myself to walk up to the door and ring. I stood in the elevator, looking across the whole landing at that door, saw my tube leaning against the wall, forgotten here almost 2 months ago, grey from a layer of dust. I remember I was not surprised that no one had stolen it. Then the elevator doors closed again, and with relief, I pressed the button for the first floor. God, I never thought I could be this afraid. Even now I am not this scared. Max did not contact me until the end of August, when I got a text from his number. I am out of town, thank you. I did not even know he had a summer house. He never said. Then I thought that Max had never told me about his parents, or home, or childhood, about anything, that I did not really know anything about him. Why are you there? What are you thanking me for? Too big. Not enough room at home, he replied almost at once. And then, please come. And the address of a settlement outside Petersburg, not very close to the city. Now I am terribly glad of that. Maybe the authorities will notice in time. The security services, some special unit. whoever. My name is Alexey Ivanovich Kronik, and I did not go to my acquaintance who had started assembling some unknown nasty thing from a damn diagram found on the science fiction shelves in an old technical book. I mean, I didn't go immediately, even though I'd already said fine. I was scared like a piece of shit. Now I think I should have been a whole piece of shit and just ignored it completely. But I still went, about a week and a half later. I should have either gone right away or not gone at all. That is what I think now. Not going at all might not have helped, if all this covers the city. If I had come at once, maybe I would have just been first in line, that is all. It was about 7 in the evening when I approached the settlement, but nothing could be seen through the train windows anymore, as if it were late night. Dark, darker than before a storm. I got off on the platform, warm, dark, and damp. Lights burning far away in houses scattered through a hilly forest. Not tiny garden plots, but richer cottages. No one else got off with me, and the train was almost empty anyway. Lucky them. The train rushed off. I walked down the worn steps. It was quiet. No drunk songs, no music, no smell of grilled meat, no forest sounds. You could not hear the Gulf. Even the rails were not humming, and the train had just left. Then, I saw the people. They were crossing the tracks, coming down from their houses, their light-colored clothes pale in the dark, their slippers slapping against the asphalt. All in silence, not a single word, like they were heading to some damn flash mob. I started shaking. The sticky air clung tighter to my skin. All of them summer residents, locals, from nearby settlements. There weren't that many. End of the season, were walking forward along the road, heads tilted up, staring somewhere ahead and above. Up there, about 200 meters away, partly hidden by trees, stood a strange structure, the size and shape of which were impossible to grasp at a glance. A bit bigger than a summer house, some kind of walked house. It glowed yellow and red too, almost like lit windows in the cottages, but as if it were one single window with a chaotic black framework crossing it in every direction, diagonally and inward. If it had ever been a house, it was so long ago. 100 years, half a month, didn't matter. That time meant nothing to it anymore. I felt that nothing at all could mean anything to that place now. I grabbed the arm of a woman walking past me, trying to stop her. "Where are you going?" "Is there a fire?" I whispered, my voice ready to break into a shriek. She didn't answer. Her eyes looked through me, as if I, Alexey Ivanovich Kronik, 20 years old, a young man of average height, simply did not exist in her coordinate system. As if I fell outside whatever dimensions had replaced the ones I was used to. Her hand was soft and limp, the same temperature as the air around us. I got so scared that I let go and ran back toward the platform. I understood it was pointless only when I reached the crossing. Something monstrous had happened to the rails. I had never even heard of anything like it, let alone seen it. The iron had drawn in on itself, twisting the straight lines. I stepped on the first rail. My foot passed right through it, no resistance at all. A chunk of rail smearing wetly under my sole. Not like rusted metal, but like, I don't know, as if it were made of soaked cardboard. I looked back. The last of the people had already crossed and were now stretching in a quiet line toward the burning without fire house. I understood then, and understand now, that once it really had been a house, house number 23, but to speak of it as any kind of building now was unthinkable. The people walked toward it in a silent procession, and the light grew brighter and brighter. I ran as fast as I could, but it's hard to run in this heat. I managed to get maybe 300 meters away, in the opposite direction from that thing. Now I am sitting in the basement of one of the big houses. It's cool here. There's light, at least for now, and no windows. In the large entry hall, I grabbed some paper, fancy paper, with initials on it, and a matching pen. My name is Alexey Ivanovich Kronik. I was a third-year student at the Polytechnic, and I knew a man who understood nothing about physics. A man who read fiction his whole life. A man who assembled a scheme he had found. I am writing my name as often as I can, so that, if not all the pages survive, at least they'll know about me. Nizhny Novgorod, Sovetskaya, 4. There was also a gun hanging in the hallway, decorative, but I took it down and checked. It's a real shotgun, even loaded. I didn't have time to find any extra shells, but that probably doesn't matter much. I don't have a red crowbar, weapon of freedom, only a shotgun, and you know, that's for the best. I wouldn't be able to swing a crowbar properly, anyway. And a barrel only needs to be put to your mouth.